Welcome back, everyone. It is Coach Joe and Susan Eileen with the 11th gift of sobriety. But before we get into that, Susan Eileen, share the book.
Yes. From Nada to Prada, my journey from rock bottom to published author and teacher at the college level, um, and how I did it using Coach Joe's 5 tier, now proven method of success.
That's fantastic. It is, as a coach, and now we're both coaches, bringing this work to everyone else, but it is so gratifying
It
to
really is.
see clients and see folks being able to turn their lives around and be
Yes.
a
And
positive
I
force.
And that's what's so great about this program and the coaching is that you get actual solutions. If you think about it, when you're sitting with your friends at the bar, you've all identified your problems. Your boss is horrible, the old lady hates you, the kids are acting up, the dog is dying. Like you've identified all the problems, but what you're not doing is identifying solutions. And until you identify a solution, you are not going to make forward progress in your life. It's just part of human nature to try to rest on your laurels or your comfort zone. And the longer you stay in your comfort zone, and if you're a gray area drinker, maybe you don't have a problem. Maybe alcohol in the bar is just part of your comfort zone that you need to break out of.
Absolutely. And you touched on something before we get into the 11th gift. You touched on something really important there. We, regardless of if you're dealing with addictive behavior or at work, in your life, we tend to gravitate and associate with people that are all similar, meaning that if you are stuck in dealing with office gossip and drama and all that stuff, you're probably part of that too. You
Yeah.
attract, you become who you hang out with, and you.
Well, yeah, and this is where I use the expression with Joe balancing the equation. So
Mhm,
here we've got a problem, like it is symbolic of a math problem, a problem in your life. So if we are working one side of the equation, we have to work the other side of the equation. So say I'm dating somebody and it falls apart. This is what he did wrong. This is what I did wrong. You have to take some level of accountability in any failure in your life, whether it's a work situation, a romantic situation,
mhm,
even if you meet a guy that says, all of my exes are crazy, or a woman that says, all of my exes are losers. Well, first of all, what does it say about you that you gravitate to crazy women and losers? Like your emotional algorithm is obviously off if these
mhm.
are the people you're gravitating towards.
Eh,
Do you feel like a crazy person or a loser on the inside? So you're gravitating towards them because you guys are alike on the inside. You get into some of that with the coaching because you need to figure out where is my thinking distorted that I'm ending up with the wrong people?
mm, yeah,
Because
and
my best thinking is telling me this is a good match, and it clearly isn't.
absolutely. And you and I have had this conversation in various sessions, but you have to start raising the bar and saying, "Hey,
Yes,
you know what?
yes,
I'm not going to settle for this anymore. I need to look up here."
yes. And here's the thing, as I raised the bar on my own life, a
Mhm,
lot of the toxic people I used to associate with, they could see how much I changed to the point that they didn't even bother contacting me. They were like, I know she's not going to put up with my BS now. And
mhm,
so that, you know, ties very well into this concept of forgiveness. And Coach Joe has said multiple times there will be people that can't come with you on this journey because, well, for a number of reasons. And when you have to separate yourself from toxic, dysfunctional, people who are, exhibiting signs of addiction or narcissism. There's like really a multitude of things that could be going
Hmm.
wrong. But if you have to stay away from them, it does not need to be a big blowout fight. It can be a mature adult conversation where you just say, I feel like I've outgrown the relationship. And if it does turn into a fight, um, there's no point in carrying any hate in your heart, because that's just going to weigh you down with a negative emotion that doesn't go anywhere. But if need to get to the point where you have to forgive somebody for how they mistreated you, forgiveness does not mean the restoration of a relationship. Forgiveness means I can stop beating myself up over a bad decision. Forgiveness is for me, not for the other person. And in active addiction, it's sort of a paradoxical statement, but we put ourselves last all the time in active addiction. And you say, well, how is that? I'm constantly giving myself, pills or alcohol or, scratch
Hmm.
offs. Yeah, you're feeding the monster, but your self-care comes last.
Hmm.
Think about, when was the last time you spent a day and just for yourself? So as you go through this process, you will unfortunately start to feel some feelings of guilt and shame about what you tolerated in your life. You
Hmm.
will have to learn to forgive yourself.
Hmm.
And for the other people in your life that you need to forgive, just because you forgive them doesn't mean you're ever going to talk to them again. As a matter of fact, from my own personal experience, don't ever let a person leave you twice. If they left you once, they will leave you a second time. And that goes for a friend, a boss, a romantic partner. If they called everything off once, they're going to call it off a second time.
Yep, absolutely. So that is the 11th gift of sobriety, forgiveness instead of resentment. So it's
Yeah.
a process of letting things go. Now, when I did the values in action assessment, which we have all of our clients do as part of the self-awareness aspect of it, values in action does a great job of putting together 24, rating you on 24 different character strengths. One of my least, the strengths are signature strengths, middle strengths, and lesser strengths. My lesser strength was forgiveness. I knew that was going to be coming because all my life I've always had problem with forgiveness, carrying resentment, and part of that is what fuels some of the stuff that I've done in the past because
Yes.
I can't let things go. So there's
Well,
an important part to that.
and when you get stuck in a negative thought loop, now all of
Hmm.
a sudden you're reaching for cheap, fast dopamine to turn your
Hmm.
mood around. So I'm in a negative thought loop. Let's grab a beer. I'm in a negative thought loop. Let's go to the casino. I'm in a negative thought loop. A new pair of heels sounds nice. But realistically, those are superficial, cheap, fast, easy solutions to an internal process, and
Hmm.
cheap, fast, and easy never works. It's not sustainable.
That's very true.
We
It's
we
not.
provide sustainable solutions. And
Hmm.
so,
Yep. And here's another important part of what Susan Eileen touched on. That is forgiveness for yourself, a little bit of grace, because at some point a recurrence in the behavior may happen. Instead of
yes.
beating yourself up, you figure out what did I learn from this, and you move forward. So you have to give yourself some
Yes.
grace. It's not an all
Yes.
or nothing thing. It's like,
No.
okay, so I had a recurrence. What did I learn? Well, I learned that I really can't go hang out with my friends at the bar and watch the football game because that's
Yeah.
just too triggering. So I have to watch
Yeah.
football somewhere else.
And the last thing that I would say is the reason why the first couple of years of sobriety can be tough is because you're not used to these feelings. You've been
Mhm.
frozen in one stage of grief. You may be frozen, like say with PTSD, or your other underlying condition like ADHD might be spiraling out of control. Like it's a little fires everywhere situation. And then when you get sober, you are feeling feelings for the first time, and the reason in a long time, and the reason why it gets easier is after I went through the 5 stages of grief, after I learned acceptance,
Mhm.
after I learned forgiveness, I built so much emotional resilience that when that situation repeated itself, it didn't hit me nearly as hard because of that emotional resilience that I had strengthened.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And on that note, we are going to wrap this one up. At the end of the video, you're going to see how to contact us, either one of us, with our email addresses. Also, some information with QR codes with regards to upcoming workshops that we have, and talking about the breaking the chains process, and just really having more dialogue, but more in-depth dialogue with regards to the whole issue of addiction recovery and the Breaking the Chains coaching program. So with that, we will leave you for now, hoping you have a great day today. Take care.
All right. Thank you.